albums smell so sweet, but not as sweet as fallen leaves. With the longest days behind me, these souvenirs remind me of old memories.
I'd like to welcome the Kennedys to the program today. Maura and Pete are very well-known folk rock artists. They're just about all over the place in the genre field, and they appeal to so many people. They're not just folk musicians. And I am just so thrilled to have the Kennedys here today on this program. And I look forward to actually talking to them on the radio in September, where we can play a lot of their new album. And speaking of new album, the album is called Headwinds. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce Pete and Maura to everybody. And as I said, I'm so glad that you guys could join me. So you met in Austin, Texas. Tell me about when you first met, how you got together and formed this incredible duo that has 17 solo albums, just yourselves. We'll talk about some of the albums, but tell me about your getting together at first.
Well, first of all, Artie, it's great to be here with you. Yeah. We've been looking forward to this. When we first got together, Pete was on the road at the time with Nancy Griffith. He was in her Blue Moon Orchestra, and I had moved to Austin out of college because I wanted to play as many gigs as I could. And Austin had such a great live music scene back there in the late 80s, early 90s. And Pete was coming through town with Nancy, and he had a couple of days off, and we had a mutual friend or two, and we met each other through these friends.
And there was a private party. They used to call it a guitar pull, like a tractor pull, but with guitars.
I remember those, Pete. I remember the guitar parties many years ago.
And it was a bunch of songwriters would sit around in a circle and either pass a guitar around or have their own guitars. And everybody would do their new song or a song that related to the person before or something. And I was in kind of a Buddy Holly mode at the time. I've always loved Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers. But when you're singing by yourself, you can't really do Everly Brothers properly. But when I sang my songs, Maura harmonized, and the blend was so perfect that we decided pretty much to get married right then. Maybe it was a little bit later, but I was heading up to Telluride, Colorado to play with Nancy Griffith. And I went up there and I played, and I called Maura back on an old time telephone that plugged into the wall. And we had Brand McNally road atlases. We were 1,000 miles apart, and we figured out the equidistant point, and it was Lubbock, Texas, which is where Buddy Holly was from and where he's buried. So we got this plan that we would each drive 500 miles solo, no cell phones. So we didn't really know the other person was doing.
I was coming from Austin. He was coming down from Telluride.
And we each aimed for Buddy Holly's grave. And that's where we met, and way out west in Lubbock, Texas.
And that was our first official date, was meeting at Buddy Holly's grave.
Get out of here. That is so crazy.
Yeah. That's our rock and roll beginnings. And
that is, I mean, you couldn't get a better beginning being at Buddy Holly's grave the first time you met. That is so wild. And then Maura, you also did harmonies with Nancy Griffith's band, right?
Yeah, so I met Pete in June of '92, and he was on the road, but they were just getting ready to put out her Grammy-winning Other Voices, Other Rooms album, that epic record with all those folk royalty guests on there. And Pete had sent me an advance copy of the record, and he said, why don't you learn these songs? Because Iris DeMent was the opening act for that tour, and she would come on and join Nancy sometimes for harmonies, to the point where Nancy got really used to having a third harmony. So Pete said, you might want to make a little demo tape. So I pulled an all-nighter one night. I had my little Fostex 4-track cassette recorder. It would record 4 individual tracks. And I had their set list of all the songs they were doing on that current tour. So I recorded, I think it was something like 27 Nancy Griffith songs.
Wow.
Guitar, lead vocal, and 2 harmonies. So it's 4-track and I stayed up all night, pulled an all-nighter. I got all 27 of those songs down. I, scrounged my pennies together and went to FedEx. It was so expensive to send FedEx when you're a broke musician living in Austin on tips, but I thought it was important. So I put it in this FedEx and I sent it on to where I knew the band was staying, what hotel they were at. And Pete got the tape and handed it to Nancy. And the next day, Nancy came in and said, I got Maura's tape, and she's probably thinking, who is this girl who knows all these songs that I haven't even released yet on my album? It was pretty wild. So, but within a couple days, she called and invited me to join the band. That was my my audition. I didn't have to.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, and I was a huge Nancy fan anyway. So
yeah.
It was a dream come true.
So we got to sort of develop our duo act by being the opening act for Nancy. We were on tour with her anyway. So we would go out and do the opening act, and every night we try to write another song. So we'd have enough songs for a half hour.
That's so great.
And so after doing that over in Europe and around America, then we were kind of ready to go off on our own and become the Kennedys.
So I am speaking with the Kennedys, Maura and Pete, and they have a new album out titled Headwinds, and that album is going to be released on August 25th. So by the time you're watching this, it's been released, and I'm so thrilled. I listened to the album, and there's so many great songs, and not only that, but these guys have offered to play a couple of tunes for us live here in this meeting. And they are so experienced because they've been doing, since the pandemic, they've been doing these online things. And you guys can talk about that when you're done with the song. Play a song first, and then we'll go on and talk about what you're doing right now.
All right. Which song? What do you want to start with, Pete?
What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do New Set of Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we both love car songs, Chuck Berry and that sort of thing. But this is a song that we wrote for the new album, and it takes into consideration, because we've been traveling for a long time in all sorts of gas-guzzling cars. It takes into consideration our carbon footprint, and it's all about our new set of wheels. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm driving this same old road on a new set of wheels. I've been all around the world, and I know how freedom feels. When you lit it up every mile, you're gonna break down once in a while. You gotta wait for a tow in the flow of automobiles till you're back on the same old road on a new set of wheels. Well, I remember when gas was cheap and the road was long. Wasn't one flat line, a flat top, where I didn't belong. And I burned my engine
Pete and Maura Kennedy, and I'm so glad that they are able to perform here today. Pete, tell me about the Stringalings.
Oh, the Strangelings?
Is that is that how you say it?
Yes, the Strangelings.
The Strangelings. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the Strangelings was an idea that we had to do sort of like you know, the kind of British folk rock that
Yeah.
is American folk rock, and then the British kind is kind of drawn from those great old child ballads, they call it, those old English ballads. And we thought it might be cool, like Fairport Convention had done years ago, to make sort of a rock band based on that kind of music. And so we had some terrific singers.
Well, it was me and Pete, and there's another duo, good friends of ours, called Hungry Town. That's Rebecca Hall and Ken Anderson. And also we had Chris and Meredith Thompson, although Meredith just did the first few gigs. So it ended up being the five of us, Ken, Rebecca, Pete, me, and Chris. And then every now and then we would add drums and fiddle when we played live. We didn't play live that often, and we only did the one record. And it was a great experience at the time. I think we recorded the record in just a few days, and we only did a handful of gigs that 1 or 2 years. And for some reason, it wasn't planned, but it was always under a full moon. It was kind of magical. That whole little era was kind of magical, but we've all sort of moved.
And Pete played the electric sitar.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an
instrument
that was invented back in the 60s. They're kind of rare, but it has the neck of a guitar. So if you already know how to play the guitar, you can find the notes.
Really?
But it has this part down here is from a sitar, like an Indian sitar. So it gets that buzzing sort of sound. Huh. And, you know, once you've listened to that kind of music, you get it kind of, you know, in your ear a little bit. And so we thought Celtic music with sitar would be something really different.
Really, really neat. I haven't heard it, but I'm interested in hearing it now. You both have done solo albums in addition to the albums as the Kennedys. And again, all of this information you can find on their website. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. What have you, you know, since the pandemic, you know, and so many people, so many artists have been adversely affected by the pandemic, and many did, you know, many went to you know, YouTube and were performing there. What did you guys do, and what are your plans now that things have lightened up?
Well, the very first week of the shutdown, I remember it was a Tuesday when everything got shut down. And, you know, we had gigs. We usually play an average of 150 concerts a year. So we went from that to nothing. And we knew also that everyone who was planning on doing anything recreational that weekend was going to be stuck at home. So I went online and asked, you know, would you like to see a live stream? Maybe we'll do a live stream this weekend. And we'd never done one before. Everyone said, you know, yes. And I took a poll, and our fans decided that Sunday at 2 p.m. was the best time for them, because we had people watching all over the country, all over the world. So we had to go to the music shop that day, because the shop was going to shut down the next day, to buy our USB microphone, because we'd never done, you know, audio into computer like that before. So we got all the gear together. It took us from Tuesday until Sunday to get it all ironed out. And we went on the air with our first live stream, I think it was March 9th, the very first weekend of the shutdown. And so we played a bunch of songs, and we had a little chat, you know how they do in the live YouTube.
Right.
And people were chatting in what songs they wanted us to play. So
That's
we just did an all request thing, and it was so much fun. So the next week we thought, well, the pandemic's still going on another week. Let's do all different songs, so people would, you know, get a different show. So we did all different songs, and then the pandemic kept going on. And so after a few months, we had run through our entire repertoire, all the songs we've ever written, all the songs we've ever learned. And so, but we were still doing these shows every single week. So we started doing themed shows. I think one of our first themed shows was a Nancy Griffith theme. And another one of our first ones was all Bob Dylan songs. We've done Buddy Holly, Everly Brothers. We started with the acts whose music we knew really well at first. Buddy Holly show, an Everly Brothers show, a California country rock show. And then we got kind of really creative and started doing like a Summer of Love show, a beach party show, a show of all songs about outer space. It was so much fun. And we did that for 2.5 years, every single week without missing a week. So then last summer we switched to monthly because we started getting gigs again. And we had toyed with stopping completely, but during those 2.5 years, we found, and we're hearing from our regular viewers, that they didn't want us to stop. Some of them were in places we never tour. Like we've got people who watch us every week from Spain, from France, from Germany, from the Czech Republic, from Australia. So they wanted us to keep going. And then there was another group of people who are homebound, pandemic or no, and they said they feel really connected to the community in the chat group and just to our, we always just kind of talk to our viewers. And so we were really proud of the community that grew up around it. And we thought, well, we're going to keep it going monthly as long as we can. And we still are.
So I'm so glad that people are able to pick you up. Once again, it's 2:00 not every Sunday.
It's the second Sunday of every month now.
Okay. Second Sunday every month. And how will people find that? If they go to your website or?
Yeah, go to kennedysmusic.com and there's a little button there for live stream. And if you hit that button, you'll not only see what the next live stream video is going to be on YouTube, but there's also a link to the whole archive that you can go back and watch anytime. We're up to I think we're up to almost 140 shows.
Wow.
And then there's another link that links to all over 1,000 different songs that we learned over the course of the pandemic. So you can see all the songs that we played and which episodes and all.
Now, are people paying for this, or is it a donation, or what? How do you make money doing this?
From the very
Let's get to the real part of this.
All right. Well, the real part of it is the music and the community, I think. But
of course. From
the very beginning, we knew not only were we out of work, but we knew a lot of our viewers were out of work. And so we wanted to give them a place to gather. We wanted to give them a community and a feeling of being part of something while they're in isolation. And then we always emphasized that our shows were free to watch, but people wanted to donate, the people who could. So we put up a tip jar, and we never expected anyone to throw anything in there, but a number of people did, and they kept food on our table, and we kept a little bit of entertainment and community coming into their home. So it was a nice relationship.
Do you have a Patreon page or
no? No, okay. I mean, we put so much into our live streams. We just don't have time to do everything. And I know a lot of people do that Patreon thing, and it's great.
Right.
But we, when we started doing the specialty shows, we would have to learn 12 different songs every week, 12 new songs for us, and be able to present them with confidence. So we really didn't have time. We worked harder and longer hours during the live stream than we typically do when we're, back on the road. So yeah, we just focused on the live stream.
Okay, so when people do come, now that you're performing out again, what are people going to see when you're out there performing?
Well, I'll say the first thing that strikes me now that we're starting to perform, people will come up to us and they'll say, I watched your live stream, and I'll ask their name and I'll recognize their name from the chat. So it's so great to connect in person. So that's great. What we'll do musically is definitely a bunch of the new songs, which we're very proud of. We really like playing new songs when they come up. But we also do love playing our listeners and our viewers' requests. So people come to our shows and there's a Kennedy song they really want to hear, or maybe even a choice cover tune that we like. And we'll play that too. Well, we're going to play the title track from the new album, Headwinds. Headwinds. And this is a song that we wrote. We were inspired to write it by a kind of a mundane thing, riding a bicycle. We were riding our bikes over the ocean in the Florida Keys. There's a big long bridge there that goes out to an island, and we could see, all kinds of marine life swimming below us. And the ride out was nice and smooth, but the ride back, we hit a headwind. And I thought the line, headwinds make it hard to get back home. Well, the song kind of sounds a little bit maybe like it's a relationship song, but we use that as a metaphor. And, we've all been through so much in the last 3 years, including, the pandemic, the, war in Ukraine, the political polarization in this country, the climate crisis. All these things are things that we kind of moved away from the center incrementally till we got to crisis point. And so this song is about facing the headwinds. It's harder to get back home when you're this far away from the way it's supposed to be.
So that's the metaphor
Right.
of the song.
So title track of the album, and it's called Headwinds. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's been a comfortable ride with you by my side, and nothing to upset our home. We took the good with the bad, we knew we had a good thing going on. But time has a way, and there's a price you must pay to travel this road alone. And headwinds make it hard to get back home. The restless breeze made the leaving seem so easy, but headwinds make it hard to get back home. If it wasn't for you, don't know what I'd do. I'm aimless without your touch, and I regret that day I threw it all away, and I miss you oh so much. And if I knew how, I'd undo it somehow. Till then I'm condemned to roam, 'cause headwinds make it hard to get back home. The restless breeze made the leaving seem so easy, but headwinds make it hard to get back home. The restless breeze made the leaving seem so easy, but headwinds make it hard to get back home. Ooh, headwinds make it hard to get back home.
Do you do house concerts?
Yes, we do. We don't do a lot of them. Usually we do house concerts in regions where we don't tour that often. We have a really big fan base on the whole East Coast. But if we were going to go out into the middle of the country or the West Coast, we would probably play Morehouse concerts there.
Right. Let me ask you this. I've asked this of many people, and I'm always interested by their answers. If you had the opportunity to play with anyone out there, who would you want to play with?
That's it.
Mora.
That's too easy. That's an easy.
I would.
That's an easy answer. Who would I? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've had the incredible pleasure to sing with Emmylou Harris on a couple of occasions on stage.
I can't tell you, Maura, how many people answered that question with Emmylou
Really?
Harris.
Well,
And
she's an incredible musician. She's got
Mm.
great taste in songs. She's incredibly kind and generous. If you watch Nancy's Other Voices, Other Rooms video that was filmed over 2 days at the State Theater in Austin, that was my first time on stage with Nancy. And one of the songs we came up, well, you were on stage for the whole thing, but Nancy called me up to sing harmonies with Lee Satterfield, who was her regular harmony singer, and and Emmylou Harris, the three of us on one microphone, right?
Ooh.
And I was so impressed with Emmylou, I've always been, that I didn't want to get in on her microphone space. So I was sort of sitting back, standing back here, and Emmylou went like this and pulled me into the mic. That's how cool she is. She was very generous and kind. So I would sing with her anytime. And I have sung with her a few times on stage.
Well, you're very lucky. And as I said, you're one of many people that named Emmylou Harris as the person that they would love to perform with. And
Yeah.
you've done it. So
I've done it. So
there you
yeah.
go.
Times.
How about you, Pete?
I think for me, because, well, I've already played with Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland, Frank Sinatra, Stevie Wonder, Burt Bacharach.
You've played with all of these people?
Yeah, Elton John.
God.
But I've never played with a Beatle. So I think I would choose
Oh.
Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah.
And if
That's
he
an
wasn't
interesting
available,
one.
then Ringo.
Oh.
They're
That's
the
an
only two
interesting-
choices. But it would be great to just see Paul McCartney's creative process. From what I gather, he's just constantly writing songs all the time.
Yeah.
So that would be something to observe.
Wow. Yeah, that would be incredible. Hey guys, thanks a million, and I hope to see you soon.
Artie, thank you so much. We had a great time
thanks so
talking.
much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Believe me. Have a great afternoon.
How many bridges crossed? How many battles lost till we begin? Wait.